Gas, Practical Training Professionals, and I'm here to talk with Commissioner John O'Connor about the current policy that is looking to be reinstated. Is that a correct way to word it, sir?
I'd say reinstated is the right way. Yes.
Okay. So tell us about this policy. What exactly does it say, and what does it mean for the county employees of St. Mary's County?
Well, it's all county employees and contractors as well. So it's what it is. The policy was passed in 2005. So it has been on the books. Whether it's been enforced or not is up to question. But it's basically the prohibition of firearms or dangerous weapons on county property or any county-controlled property. So buildings, vehicles, you name it. If it comes on county property, it's prohibited.
What is the positive outcome that is sought after by having this policy in place? Like, what is this supposed to benefit?
I wasn't there at the meeting in 2005 when they actually passed it. I know back then there was a big push on workplace violence, so it may have been a reaction to put something in place for firearms. I personally feel normally when you legislate policy with firearms, it's usually a feel-good portion that's going to be in place. I don't know if that was the intent then, but I think it was part of an overall workplace violence initiative.
So what would you like to see happen with this policy? What would you, if everything was said and done tomorrow, what would you like to see referencing firearms in the policy?
I'd like to see the policy repealed 100%. I don't think there needs to be a middle ground on this. I think that if you have a concealed carry or you're a shooter, sports shooter, hunter, you should have the ability to secure your firearm or carry in accordance with state law. You've been already properly vetted by all the authorities in the state of Maryland, which already has a very onerous process as it is. So I would like to see it repealed.
Why are some county commissioners looking to push this or looking to keep this policy in place simply because other counties in the state are doing it?
Well, I think when you're in government, you look at other counties and try to find model legislation or try and find policy that may be beneficial to you. I think that may have been the intent in this one as it was presented. In the meeting minutes you can see that Human Resources contacted other counties. This is the policy they have. They looked at Calvert County, which I applaud Calvert County for allowing concealed carry holders to carry. I think that was the intent there, and with that intent, I think it's flawed. I stated it in the meeting that if you look at the rest of the state and how it's applied in all the Beltway counties, I mean, they are controlled by liberal-leaning Democrats, the same ones that are in Annapolis that are right now, trying to erode our rights under the Second Amendment. So sometimes it's a good policy to follow or a good way to look for model legislation. In this one, I think it's just flawed, and I think that's the reason why.
What benefits do you think there would be of getting rid of this policy and full repeal of this policy? What benefits could you see of that?
Well, Commissioner Jarboe said it during the meeting, and he wanted to be here. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here because of commitments at work, and otherwise he would have been. But he said it's an overreach on the Second Amendment. Why do we need to do that? We don't need to create policy to duplicate policy that's already available from the state and the law. So that's how I look at this, is that if we keep this on the books, we're basically eroding the Second Amendment rights of those individuals that legally own and possess firearms. We all know that having a concealed carry permit is not a right that's guaranteed under the Second Amendment. However, if you're granted that right by the state police or any other authority for that matter, you should be allowed to exercise that right. And that's the way I feel.
So the way that the policy is currently worded, or policy proposal, it says county-controlled areas. What all does that exactly encompass, and how much can people get affected by that wording?
Well, it's a very broad term, county-controlled. It's not just what we actively have now. So if you go to a county park or county property, that's county-controlled. But it also comes down to special events that are controlled by the county. So if we have an event for the commissioners of St. Mary's County and we lease that property, or it's a ribbon cutting, that is technically at that time, because it's an official event, controlled by the county. So if there was a county employee that happened to be off duty and wanted to possibly attend something that's county controlled, well, they wouldn't be able to, even if it's on private property that was leased out to the county because it's now controlled by the county. So it's a very gray area that is open to interpretation. Let's say we're at one of the fire departments and the county rented that. We have a lease in place. It's now controlled by the county, yet though it is private property. And county employees that are off duty that are bringing them to, let's say it's a carnival that the county happens to host. We never have, but hypothetical, right? You never know what's going to happen. They would not be able to drive their car onto that property with a firearm in there. They would not be able to carry concealed if they had a permit. If they're a business owner that they run a business on the side, and they're part-time at the county. Well, they have a permit for their business, and they want to stop by on their way, make a deposit, or on their way home from making a deposit, and their restrictions on their permit allow them to do that. Well, they cannot do that because it's controlled by the county, and they risk losing their job if doing so. So it's a very broad term, and I think it's gray and open to interpretation by whomever is going to be enforcing it.
So this would include, but not limited to, such places as the fairgrounds, libraries, and even fire departments?
Libraries, fairgrounds, a fair statement. The fire departments, I think it would be a stretch just because they're owned by those volunteer companies. I understand it's paid, they get funding through tax dollars, but overall, I don't think it would affect it unless it was controlled by the county at that time. So it would have to be that there's a county event or county function going there at that time that we're running, and that's at the point I think the policy would come into effect.
And this also, it would not only cover full-time or part-time employees, but also contractors as well, right?
Yes, contractors. It does say that in the policy that contractors for the county cannot carry or have any firearms on them. So the fact that this policy was interpreted to say just county employees, I think, is a little bit more narrow than it actually is. These contractors are not employees of the county, obviously. They're contractors. So if they're coming in to do, let's say it's air conditioning work or pave the side of the road, whatever their contract may be for, they're not allowed to carry a firearm. So the one question I would say with this is there's no exemption for armored guard services. So if we had the treasurer of St. Mary's County that needed to go ahead and have cash picked up by an armored car service, they are a contractor contracted to the county. If there's no exemption in there, they're not allowed to carry their firearms onto county property, or they'd risk losing their contract. So that's why I think the wording in itself is dangerous in how it is, because it could be well over limiting and could restrict services as well. That's why I'm pushing for just the full repeal of it to allow the state law to govern it.
So you're not looking for to minimize restrictions or find a middle ground. You want this fully repealed.
Oh, I do. I think that a middle ground is something that too many citizens and too many Second Amendment supporters have had to fight for many years in Annapolis. I mean, you see it at 2A Tuesday, just trying to get an inch. Here, I think you can get the yard. You have 5 sitting Republican commissioners that have voiced at the meeting, that they're pro 2A. Commissioner Guy, Commissioner Jarboe. I mean, Commissioner Hewitt did say he was pro 2A. He had his comments as well. So I think that it should be hands down a unanimous vote. For me personally, if you have 2A supporters here, and it could be a victory for the Second Amendment right here at the local level, there's no need to just get an inch. We can go ahead, get the whole yard, get it done, get it over with. For me, if this isn't repealed in the HR policy, I'm going to have to vote no on the entire policy. There's other policies in there that have to change, which I'd love to vote yes for, but unfortunately I won't be able to. I'd have to vote no, and that's one of the things to pay attention to in the HR policy is there's a lot of other things that are contained in there.
So the decision to either repeal, to minimize, to do anything with this policy, this rests solely on the 5 county commissioners of St. Mary's County, correct? It
does. It's solely our decision, and a lot of the misconceptions that are out there is that this is not new policy. Well, if you look at it, it is new policy. It is new policy. It's old policy that needs to be revised. And by revising this manual, it is a new human resources manual. It's an updated manual. So any changes that you put into it, update it and make it new. So this would be new policy moving forward. This board, would be responsible for enacting that policy and enabling new county policy. So that's why I feel that it's this board's responsibility when we're there, and it's our responsibility because it is essentially new.
So as county commissioner, trying to repeal this policy, what can the citizens of St. Mary's County that support your ideals, what can they do to help you and get this repeal passed?
They can keep up the positive reinforcement of the emails. The outpouring of support has been tremendous. It's been great, and I'm grateful for it. It's really reinforced that St. Mary's County is pro 2A. They're supportive of their commissioners. They're interacting with the government. I think the best thing to do is make sure you stay positive in your emails and give good cases for why. And they can email csmc@stmarysmd.com. It's to keep up the support as well. The vote is not for some time on this. We don't want the momentum to stop, and we want to just continue that push for the 2A rights on this and the repeal. So that's what I'm looking for is that kind of support. I'd like to thank yourself for spreading the word. The NRA, Maryland Sally Issue, 2A and MD. I mean, it's the support is amazing, and the rallying behind what you would think is something small, but really it's a big topic. It's a big push. It's a big movement, and I think it's great to see the support. When people were notified, they came out, and that is tremendous, and it makes my job a lot easier. So I don't have to fight as hard, but I will fight and keep the momentum.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, everything sounds really great. We do appreciate you pushing for this repeal because it didn't sound like there was too many people that had noticed this deficiency in the policy, and otherwise might have been passed status quo. So we definitely appreciate your attentiveness to detail and definitely keeping your voice heard and reaching out and trying to get that support because. We know that you need that in order to be able to do anything you do as a county commissioner. You need the support of the residents of this county. So the county residents, we definitely appreciate everything you've done when it comes to supporting them and specifically their Second Amendment rights as well. So appreciate you doing this video and clearing up some miscommunications and confusions possibly, and putting the good information out there that the citizens need in order to further support this cause. So we do appreciate it, sir, and I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner John O'Connor, and my name is Ryan Gass, Practice Chain Professionals, and stay tuned for any updates or any more information on this topic. We'll have it posted on our website as well as our Facebook page. Thank you. Have a nice day.